All right, welcome to the fourth and final review of the evening. Up this time is Zool Redimensioned. Right. So come with us now to Sonasic Park as we journey back to the 90s, aka the age of the mascot platformer. It was
the
a
90s
time.
were weird.
Well, yes. It was a time when a certain blue hedgehog exploded onto the scene and quickly spawned 1,000 imitators, and that may have been the actual number.
I was about to say, bro, I think you're swinging low there, buddy.
Yeah. Point is, in the wake of that Blue Blur's massive success, pretty much every company under the sun decided to, if they didn't have a mascot platformer or something resembling that, like, Castlevania, not really thought of as a mascot platformer, but fits the mold nonetheless. See also Mega Man and even Mario to an extent.
They're just short. They're short mascots, which I think there's an argument to be made that the ones that are real mascot platformers are ones that are trying to sell the character and focus more on the character than the mechanics. But
that is a good point, because Zool falls into that designation perfectly. Especially you look at the packaging, the marketing, it's all about emphasizing Zool, the ninja of the nth dimension, and his battle against the evil Cruel.
I thought he was the gatekeeper.
I'm like, I knew that was coming at some point. Anyway, so ultimate point is Zool is just one of the many mascots that came out to try and get some of that Sonic high. So Zool actually had a few things working towards him, believe it or not. First of which, he's not an animal. He got confused as one. People thought he was an ant. And
he does look at least as much like a cartoon ant as he does like a ninja.
Right. I mean, I can honestly see how that happened. And once again, it's the 90s. We got Bubsy the Bobcat, Punky Skunk, Artie Lightfoot, hell, even Crash Bandicoot. So thinking he was some sort of animal was perfectly logical. But he wasn't. He's actually classified as a ninja gremlin. Because the developer of the game is Gremlin Graphics. So, it's just, Gremlins are...
I guess for a value of Gremlin that is more original Disney short than movie.
I'm thinking more like the Gremlin from Bugs Bunny.
Oh, was it Bugs Bunny?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's the one the original cartoon Gremlin, not the one that happens when you feed a Mogwai after midnight.
Yeah. I'm like, more that kind of Gremlin. But since, a Gremlin is a farcical creature that doesn't have any actual definition. So, you can get away with calling this a ninja gremlin. So, my point is, it's not, it's not a anthropomorphic animal. So there is a measure of creativity here that we didn't see with a lot of other mascots. So it lacks some of the cynicism that you saw in, say, Bubsy the Bobcat or Punky's or Skunk or Awesome Possum or whatever it was.
Oh God.
I did not make that up.
I know you didn't. I'm currently having my Vietnam flashbacks over here.
I don't blame you. But much like, once again, all of these other wannabes, this was positioned as a Sonic killer. It's like the thing that this game had most going for it, though, was the debut platform, and that was the Amiga.
Notable for having not Mario and not Sonic on it.
Right. They really didn't have games like this on their platform. They had platformers, but they were more like, say, Shadow of the Beast. This is something that's very, very console-like. It's also something that's homegrown to Europe. It's not something from Japan. It's not something from America. This was a game that was built in the UK. I know that's not home territory to most of Europe, but it's still Europe. The end result is Zool had success. I honestly don't know how much it sold, but what I do know is Zool ended up on a bevy of platformers. It's one of those games where if you had a living platform during the time period, you probably got a copy of Zool on it. Seriously, like, Zool was ported to all the Atari ST, DOS, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Game Boy, Game Gear, Master System, even stuff like the Acorn Archimedes, or Archimedes, I'm not sure which one of those it is, and down to the Amiga CD32. That's a measure that this game saw, enough popularity to justify a shitload of ports. So what Zool didn't have was staying power, which is the case for a lot of these mascots. It had more staying power than, the complete and utter failures, once again, Muscle Man and Headphone Jack. Trying to remember, the one with the weird Muscle Man that tried to be Sonic on the Super Nintendo.
It's Mohawk and Headphone Jack.
That's the one.
The gimmick on that one is relative gravity, where whatever surface you were closest to became the ground.
Yeah. Once again, it was basically trying to be Sonic on the Super Nintendo, but this isn't about Mohawk and Headphone Jack. This is about Zool, because Zool got one sequel, Zool 2, and that was far less successful. Zool 2 was Amiga, DOS, Amiga CD32, and the Atari Jaguar. So very specific systems. Zool didn't even last long enough to, get Zool 2 ported to the Saturn and the PlayStation, or make that ill-advised attempt at 3D. I definitely say they got lucky in that regard, because I'm not imagining Zool 3D would have been good. But I suppose that's just, for the realm of speculation. Point is, Zool, like so many mascots, got retired in the 90s as well.
Got sent to a great desert planet upstate, right?
Thereabouts. I'm like, I do want to talk about the Desert Planet here in a bit. It goes into one of my issues with this game. But Zool, unlike some other characters that I've named and still could name, once again, the 90s is just littered with these.
We could be here for another hour naming these motherfuckers.
Yeah, I'm just unlike say Radical Rex, there is a fondness for Zool, even to this day. Once again, that goes back to where this game debuted, in Europe for the Amiga. So the people who really, really like Zool, they tended to be people who gamed in that area on that system. And that gets to the revival here. It's a very curious revival because, it was recommended by people who worked on or played the game, because this game was remade by the Sumo Digital Academy. And that's not just a name. This was actually done as a senior project, basically. Or rather, an internship project. Not actually that, but a rough equivalent. Because Zool Redimensioned here was done in order for new programmers, new developers to cut their teeth on. Once again, it's a very weird position, especially for a revival of a retro game. I'm like, but, they went and did it. So, with all of that history contexted, how does the game itself shape up? Well, there are two schools of thought here. That is, do you look at it through its original lens, or do you look at it through its modern lens? In this case, I would go with the modern lens, because the main mode of Zool Redimensioned, the Redimension mode, it's not the same game as it was back in the 90s. They have a version of that here in the game. They have an actual emulated ROM as one of the bonus materials. I'm trying to, I think it's a bit more than emulation, if I'm remembering. I watched an interview about this a few days ago. And Mr. Sargent's getting at where I'm going with this. I played, the original Genesis game. I played the classic mode, that's the middle mode. For some reason, this game also has a bunch of party games in it, which were so useless. I passed up on that wholesale because it really required a second person. Point is, this game actually really benefits from the widescreen resolution, because I found the original to be way too zoomed in for what they were going for. And Zool is not a game I played in the 90s. I do remember seeing its box, at Blockbuster. Just one of the myriad of games. And that probably reflects the American experience, because, Zool was brought over here, but I can't say Zool found any particular success here in North America. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but that's not where the love and adoration comes from. So, the point is, I don't have nostalgia for this game. and even if I did play in the game, I wouldn't necessarily have nostalgia for it, because much like a lot of the ripoffs, it's not the best playing game in the world. It plays better in a modern context. Specifically, they added the double jump. It makes the game a lot more manageable.
Wait, this didn't have a double jump in the beginning?
Nope. And that's the
sweet mother of God.
That is the big thing that is advertised on the classic mode. It's like play it the original way without the double jump. It's like, by dear God, why would I ever do that? And once again, I did go and play some of the original.
So you can empathize with the pain of people who played it back in the day.
I guess. Though once again, like I wouldn't imagine wanting to play this with an Amiga controller either, and it's one button.
Was the Amiga designed by madmen? Is that what we're going at here?
No, the Amiga was designed by computer people. So, they didn't...
So madmen.
Yeah, so they didn't necessarily have gaming in mind. I mean, it's also the case with the god-awful C64 joystick. Once again, people swear by that, but, they're the same people who grew up with the thing. But
they're the people who we need to pick their brains apart to figure out wherever, if there's a deity where they went wrong.
Yeah, but let me tell you, the widescreen format and the double jump mitigates my biggest problems with this game, and that is, it's another one of these fucking ripoffs, another one of these wannabes that, just Sonic equals speed. What level design? What is that? It's not as bad as, say, Bubsy, because this game wasn't dumb enough to put fall damage into the mix.
Oh, sweet mother of God!
I'm like, people used to play. Yeah. Yeah, dear God, no. Just, I think Zool's expression says it all. Like,
and people played it like that.
Not just they played it like this. Like I said, this game is a cult classic.
Remember, this was people who only had the Amiga.
Yeah. I'm like, not necessarily that, because once again, people played this on the Atari ST, DOS, even though the ports were dog shit. Like, this game came to the Genesis, even though you had actual good platform games you could play. Ditto the Super Nintendo. Once again, on the scale of, marginally successful to failed 90s mascots, this is one of the better ones I've played, honestly.
At least you're not Bubsy.
Or Awesome Possum, or, once again, one of those that really wanted to be Sonic, but just had no clue how that worked.
They just saw Sonic Animal, we make animal, we get monies.
Yeah. I'm like, and Zool here, once again, he has the same problems to a certain extent, and that is, just look how fucking slippery and loosey-goosey he moves. He also feels that way as well. Game feel, I know, is a very hard thing to convey, but he is very slip-sliding. He's very, it feels like they wanted to get Sonic momentum in here, but really didn't.
They didn't put it in the right places. Like, they put it on slopes, not you know, the general running.
Yeah, which once again was a problem with Bubsy. It just Bubsy magnified that by having fall damage. Like,
you know, the platformer war crimes.
Yeah, especially 2D platformers. Granted, it depends on how realistic you were going for and all that. Like Prince of Persia had fall damage, but it was much more understandable because that was going for a much more realistic moveset.
The prince was an actual fucking dude, not an anthropomorphized animal.
Yeah. Or like I said, once again, overall, Zool controls kind of naff, but, they made improvements. Like, he's a lot better in this modern context than going back to the original or, dear God, the Genesis version. Like, because the thing about the Genesis version, you get hit more because it's so much more zoomed in, and it's got the slidiness and everything without the mitigating double jump here.
And apparently there is an assist mode where you can have infinite jump.
Right. Anyway, as far as Zool's moveset goes here, he plays like a cartoon video game ninja would. That is to say, he's got infinite throwing stars here, or glow balls. That's probably a Europe thing / UK. Remember, this is the same country that couldn't allow them to be called the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I would 100% not be surprised that, these are the stand-in for shurikens, because, shurikens are illegal.
You can't depict nunchucks. Those are too violent.
Yeah.
The swords are fine.
Yeah. But Zool here also has a couple of, he can jump on enemies' heads. Once again, the most bog standard platformer move. And he's also got the heavy attack, the heavy slash. When you jump, you have to press down on the controller to do it, but he will use the sword to attack. As far as one move over another, there doesn't seem to be any sort of actual difference in terms of damage. It's just it's kind of a where is the enemy positioned and how many of them are around you. The sword slash is good for crowd controlling, a lot of close by enemies. Yeah. And there's a good demonstration of my main gripe with the game. You move so fast and so loosey-goosey that you will bump into enemies a lot. This is probably why you were given so much health. And you have more health here than you did in the original. Not that much more. You got, it's 5 versus 4.
But it's enough.
Yeah. Also worth noting, they changed the goals of Zool. I don't know if people here actually saw Naka's playthrough, and apparently this is a thing that was more pronounced in some of the ports, but Zool wasn't necessarily a strict left-to-right platformer. I mean, it isn't in its design. It's got that obnoxious sprawling design that the 16-bit era brought to us. It's like, look at all this processing power. Look how big and sprawling our levels can be. And how long they take. Anyway, the thing is, you had to collect objects in order to get the end token. Whereas here, you can still do that, but it's like unlocking a badge. Because you can actually go to the end with less than, like in this level, it's 55 objects. In the original game, you had to get 55 objects to leave the level. But it wouldn't
sweet mother of God.
But it wouldn't have defined it as that. It would have defined it as a percentile. And it got worse on some of the other platforms, like the Master System version and the Game Gear. Basically the same thing, I believe. Some of them, you had to get 100% of the objects to leave the level.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Are the people who thought that up in jail now?
Possibly. I don't... Like... Yeah. And Zool also, like, in terms of power-ups, he has some standard stuff. The screen-clearing bomb, invincibility, though his signature is probably the double, the ninja double. It operates in much the same way as it did in, say, Ninja Gaiden 2. Like, you have a shadow clone that operates, a bit behind you, but, like, if you throw shurikens, he will, the double will throw shurikens and mirror your moves otherwise. Exactly the same thing. Yeah. Once again, going back to the Redimensioned aspect, there are 3 badges. One for not dying, one for getting all the objects, one for getting par time. Once again, par time is a new thing to Redimensioned because in the original game, it operated like a timer in the 90s would have operated. It counted down, not up. As in, you only had a certain amount of time to complete this level instead of, if you beat this level in a certain amount of time, you get a bonus. So, overall, this is the grand point. This isn't the same game as you played in, say, 1992 or 3 or whatever. Any of the versions. It's a new version of Zool Redimensioned. About as definitive as you're going to get. It's a much better game than its predecessor. But does that make it good? No, not really. I'm like, what it makes it is competent, average. Like, I didn't hate this game. But it didn't make me think that this was a Sonic killer. Yeah, Ultimate Ninja. That's the mode.
Oh, fuck. Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Here's the Genesis version. Prepare for pain, Petty.
I don't want to live in that dimension, thanks.
Just play the game.
It doesn't let me get out of window mode, so I put it in a window.
Yeah, like, fair enough. Anyway, worth noting that it is only Zool 1 that's remade here, though it has elements of Zool 2. Like, that is, it has the character called Zoos, what is Zool's female companion, girlfriend, depending on the source here. I.e., in Zool 2, she's the playable female counterpart to Zool. Nothing mechanically different from what I've seen. Just, Zool has a girlfriend now, and you can play as her.
Oh, here's the plot, I'm guessing?
Yeah. this is also like I'm trying to remember if this was in the original game. Like, I think this is just regulated to the manual.
Mm-hmm. It looks
Like I
like
said-
this is like what would have been manual art.
Yeah, like I said, yeah.
The manual art they just made into a little motion comic, which, I can respect that.
Yeah. And I believe this is something Naka brought up, but your main foe, Cruel, you do not fight him. You never fight him. In fact, he is not defined beyond a set of angry eyes. Instead, you like the end boss is like Zool's cactus, and right. So that's as good a transition as this to, the levels that you're playing through, because I wanted to talk about this, just how random everything is. Like, they just kind of ran out of ideas.
Let's see. The levels
Yeah.
I went through are sweet, music,
And
fruit.
fruit. I'm like, and okay, so the sweet world can at least be explained by the sponsorship by Chupa Chips, which is a Spanish lollipop concern. I don't know why they connected that to Chupa Chips, but they did.
They're sold in the U.S. They're not even super uncommon, or at least they're used to not be.
It's regional.
Yeah, but they're Spanish in origin and much bigger in Europe. Like, point is that exists because they made this sponsorship. Why is Zool going through a music world? That's not very ninja.
Mm-hmm.
Fruit world. I'm like, this is a couple of decades before Fruit Ninja.
Well, I can kind of see going through a forest, but that's about it.
Yeah, one of the later worlds is Tool World. Like it's Home Improvement. Like what does all of this have to do with ninjas?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no ninja theming outside of the ninja.
Well,
Okay,
I guess part of it's like he crashed and landed on an alien world. Like, okay, that
Okay.
you could still have some appropriate theming of some kind, or at least any coherent theming.
He's not even going through a ninja world
Mm-hmm.
or a Japan world, though maybe we dodged a bullet there. Because
just like all the levels themselves are random. Like, some kind of world would have something cohesive,
Yeah, it
doesn't
like,
necessarily have to be ninja related, just something cohesive than a bunch of random biomes.
Yeah, it's like, and that extends to the enemies you fight. Like, they're themed to the world, but like, why the fuck is Zool fighting a humblebee queen?
Mm-hmm. Why is Zool fighting a sentient cello?
Yeah. Why is Zool fighting a banana man?
Okay, admittedly, I would beat the shit out of a banana man, but that's more personal reasons.
I'm like, oh, so you're Apple Man now.
No.
That is a deep cut that I will respect anyone who understands which. Like, anyway, I'm like,
sorry, not me.
Look up Banana Man. Like, that's an actual superhero that comes from the UK. Like, anyway, my point is, like, everything that Zool fights here, like, I'm going, why is Zool fighting all this? Like, It never comes across as anything that is natural or organic to his profession, his character, like, anything. It feels like I'm going through literal randomness.
Like, I could see if he was hopping to just different, like, planets each stage, but he's theoretically just stuck on this one planet with
like,
just...
yeah, there's not even a narrative justification. Like, once again, Sonic. Sonic fights the evil Robotnik who puts the animals into robots.
Yeah, so he's going around the world to break them out and find the Chaos Emeralds to stop him.
Yeah, I mean, there's a framing device here, but it's ill-framed. Like, I don't know, once again, Sonic has gone through weird worlds that they're like creations of the Doctor, Casino Night Zone.
Scrap Brain Zone, stuff like that,
Yeah. Once again, this is one of the lesser complaints I have, but it's still a complaint. This game would have probably confounded me back in the day. Because, once again, it's actually something that, say, Bubsy got better than Zool.
Yeah.
Because, Bubsy tied everything to the main adversary, the Woolies, the thing that he fights.
Even if they had them, lined up toward, a natural progression, you start out in the woods somewhere, and then you start getting more, urban stuff as you get closer to, a villain's base. I could see that, but they're just... Somebody hit the random button for stages.
Yeah, it's just you're going through a candy kingdom as a ninja. Even for a platformer, that's very random. Brain-hurtingly random. Anyway, I could go on, but I think we picked this game apart far enough. So in terms of pricing, don't know how much the original probably would have gone for 30-40 quid. So along those lines, this is a bargain at $9.99. That's probably the price that I here in America probably would have paid for the Super Nintendo version. Yeah. Zool, this was this is a denizen of the bargain bin here. Not a statement of its quality; it's more of its placement. The North America versus Europe,
because we had so many Sonic likes.
I'm yeah.
Most of them literally were just dropped in the Walmart bargain bin at time of release. I wish I was joking, Gullix.
Do not pass go.
Yeah. Adam knows.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been name-checking them all night.
I know. Here. You know full well this hell we went through.
Yeah.
The youngins don't. They got it easy.
I'm once again, so many of these mascots wanted to be the Sonic killer, the new Sonic.
The new Sonic, the new Mario. They wanted to be what they wanted to be the it thing of the 90s. Yeah.
And, once again, Zool here carved out a niche. I'll give him that. I'm he carved a strong enough one to get remembered, fondly enough to get a remake. A weird remake that was a Academy project, but it's still shepherded by people who like the franchise enough to bring it back to the modern age.
It got enough love that somebody wanted to just do more than just shove a ROM on Steam for it.
Yeah, because this is a firm and proper remake.
Yeah.
Better than ever, and it only costs $9.99 US. So
if you want to play Zool, probably do this one.
Yes.
Very much.
Yes, I would say play this one.
Because forcing someone to play the original Zool, I think, counts as a war crime under the Geneva Convention.
Yeah. Right. So as far as why they put the Genesis version instead of the Amiga version here, apparently that had to do with source coding. Apparently they had access to the Genesis version and not the Amiga version. That's just what I recall from this interview with the people who oversaw the game. The producer.
Yeah.
the one who said, we should have these young programmers and such delve into a classic I enjoyed as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, not the best representation that the '90s ever saw. Not the worst.
It's the best that hasn't been tread to death, probably.
And was actually, it's not great. Like, there's a lot of problems, but at least there's a core here that could be improved enough where it's playable, as opposed to, once again, I just Bubsy.
Mm-hmm.
Which was just god awful. And I know Bubsy has its defenders. They can go fuck off. Like, I played that back in the day. I hated it. Still hate it. Will always hate it.
If we ever got the creator of Bubsy on the show, it might just evolve into a fist fight.
Yeah. I'm like, anyway, as far as Zool Redimension goes, sure, why not? It's just $10. I'm like, that's about all I got.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, that'll about bring us to the end of the review and the review session. So coming up on the week ahead, programming note for MSP. This week, Mac will be out of town, so we still have an MSP episode planned, but at least we know ahead of time that Mac's not going to be there for once.
As a result of his tragic absence, we anticipate an increase in punctuality and efficiency of production.
Yes. Also, the episode itself will be less bloated.
I was about to say, and the episode won't be 3 hours long.
I mean, that's basically what I said.
Yeah. Fair enough. Anyway, so on the Fragments of Silicon side of things, on Wednesday, June 19th, we'll be welcoming Jason Napolitano of Scarlet Moon. So
Napolitano, probably?
Yeah, Napolitano. I'm like, so Scarlet Moon is going to be a bit of a different thing for us. Because they represent people what do video game music. Like, and not just say representing artists, but they do that. They apparently put out records. They promote concerts and that sort of thing. So, like I said, it's a bit of a different thing. Bit of a bit out of our depth, but this is going to be an interesting one, if nothing else. Just like all of the people that gets represented here. We will go over that on Wednesday. I won't lie, I'm a bit intimidated here. Just because, yeah, video game music doesn't come up much on our program. So, especially we're talking more about the business side of things. Anyway, on Friday, June 21st, we do have a Friday show this week. We'll be welcoming Jose Castanheria of Zark Attack. In spite of the pronunciations here, he's not Spanish, he's Portuguese. And also from Portugal, not Brazil. We will be talking about his first commercial game, Exophobia. He's done a few other projects. If you're familiar with our program, you've probably seen the broad strokes of this art before. He's an aspiring developer that's made a couple of things like Sunset Shockwave, 17, apparently. I think that's 17. Could be 97. Like, Super Aribentia Manos. So, yeah, a couple of non-commercial projects. But first, let's say, development for money thing happening here. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, so that is our schedule for the week. And until next time, I shall wish you good gaming.